absolutely aesthetic garment, if I may be so bold. So in this video, as you see in the title, I will share some fatherly insights. But first, a message from the sponsor of this video. Now, you can't actually see it because it's under this garment and it's under my fine trekking trousers here. We have the Ullr's undergarments, so this is why I'm comfortable and warm in this rainy autumn forest. So do head over to legiogloria.com, treat yourself to a set, and you will have a prosperous autumn and winter ahead. And of course also you can order Dauntless and Demigod Mentality while you're at it. And now, second sponsor, myself, do become a channel member here on YouTube to access now over 60 podcast episodes full of profound insights, if I may say so myself. Now, of course, you can subscribe on other platforms as well. If you're watching this on X, you can become a subscriber here as well. Otherwise, you can head over to thegoldenone.se/podcast to check out the other options. Now, anyway, on to the message at hand. This is to fathers and fathers-to-be. A heads up, something you should absolutely avoid, something I've seen happen far too often, and something that I know malicious forces, they are only too happy to see when it happens. So first and foremost, we can look at the mainstream culture over the last few decades, how a father is being presented, or rather how a dad is presented. So if you look at the archetype of the dad over the last few decades in slop culture, in pop culture, you see him as a bumbling fool, the butt of any joke, someone who doesn't have anything really going for him, someone who sits at the sofa, drinking beer, looking at sports ball. This is the archetype of the father today, and then the mother is the one who has everything under control. She is the moral pillar of the family. Now, if you go back 50 years and backwards, in previous centuries also, the father was in culture, in literature, etc. He was a figure of authority, of stoic calm, someone you came to for knowledge, someone you always listened to, someone who had things under control. So this tells us quite a bit of what we want to be now as well. Now, this isn't actually the main point of this video. I just wanted to have that said so you keep it in mind going forward as well as a father, that you can choose yourself what sort of cultural example you're looking at. So don't identify as a dad, don't ever identify as, you know, the modern archetype of a dad. I don't think most of you do, but I'm just saying it for good measure, so I have it said as a disclaimer. Now, anyway, something I've seen, and this is what you absolutely need to avoid, is to become complacent, is to stop your own journey upwards and onwards. Because as a man, as a young man, you have dreams, ambitions, you have goals, you are going upwards and onwards, and this is something you must absolutely never stop doing. So you might think becoming a father, that's the end of your journey as a man, as a person, that when you become a husband and father, your own ambitions, they are sort of put on hold, they're taking the back seat, and now you're only ever focusing on being a husband and a father. And this is a bit counterintuitive as well, because if you want to be a good husband first and foremost, you have to think that your wife, she didn't marry a castrated house cat. She married a tiger. She wants to continue to be married to a tiger. She does not want the castrated house cat who is complacent in that regard. She wants to be taken on a journey, on an adventure. She wants to continue on your journey, being the first mate. You are the captain of the ship, and the ship goes upwards and onwards. You need to keep going on the ship, otherwise, yeah, you will become not so attractive, to put it in that way. Same thing for your children. They probably do want a father who is, you know, high thumos still, who still has an ambition, a joy for life. So that is something you can keep in mind as well. And now when we're talking about in practical terms, yes, you will, if you have, you know, children, you will have less time for your own endeavors. Absolutely, you do need to take care of your children. I do spend a lot of time with my own children. So this is more of a mental attitude to life. So the last thing you want to do is to have an attitude that says that the journey ends You need to have an attitude that says the journey continues, it's just that now I have a family to bring along on the journey, on the ship. So you do take care of your children, you spend a lot of time with them, everything like that, you spend a lot of time with your wife, but you never forget your own ambitions and goals. So this is not only for yourself, it's also for your family, especially your wife, because she doesn't want this archetype of a dad. And you know, if we're talking about the malicious forces behind, you know, pushing these tropes, yeah, of course the woman will get sort of tired of that type of man if it transforms into a slobber. No one wants to be married to a slobber. No one wants a father who's a slobber. And I also know that there is an excuse made to others, but also more treacherously to oneself. And I've seen this before. I saw it in my youth. Older guys saying, oh, you can train a lot now, you can be in a good shape now, but wait until you have children, and wait until you have more job responsibilities, so wait until you're married, then you will not have this time. Now, I gave them the benefit of the doubt, because, yeah, I didn't know better, I didn't know, but now I do know, with, you know, a quite hectic life overall, 2 children, married, I'm still in a good shape, if I may be so bold as to say so myself. So this is the shape I'm in now. Not the same demigod-like shape I was in back in the day, but still a decent shape, and I get by with 4 days a week in the gym training for an hour. So we're not talking about 2 hours in the gym every day and spending no time with your children at all. It's about still continuing the journey, but also recognizing the fact that you don't have as much time, but that should never be an excuse to, you know, not pursue your own goals. So especially if you're a younger guy, sometimes I have younger guys, they say to me, you know what, my girlfriend, she got pregnant, we aren't really ready or anything like that. There are many things I would still like to do in life, but this is especially for you guys, that life doesn't end just because you have children. You can still continue along your journey. Yes, you will not be as free as you were as a bachelor, but still, you can still continue along the path of enlightenment and glory. And especially if you're looking at this, you know, adventurous Normans in the Middle Ages, or whatever they might have been, they all had children also. They continued their path to glory well into their, you know, later years. And you can look at someone like Trump. He is something like 80. He's still pushing a really high pace. He's setting the pace every single day to pursue his goals. So if you want, you know, some motivation, look at a man like that. Father, husband, maybe not the best, you know, family man in that sense, but still someone who has, you know, kept a high pace over all of these years. And also something they said, if you are a father, you also need to be a good role model to younger guys, because I can sort of understand these younger guys, they're looking at a 30-something man, he has become a father and he starts to deteriorate, he stops going to the gym, he stops being active in life. Simply put, he's only ever, you know, spending time with children, all his life is revolving around children. It's not an appealing prospect for a younger man. So yes, I sort of understand these younger guys, they look at older guys who have become fathers and they say, I don't know if this is quite for me, because after all, you don't want to be said the aforementioned castrated house cat, you still want to be a tiger. So here I am to tell you that you can still be a tiger, not with as much time perhaps, but as long as you still keep the mindset of being on a journey, all will be well. So it's actually more of a mental thing than a practical thing, because again, you will need to spend time and energy on family life, but when you forget your own journey, then you will suffer yourself, you will let your family suffer as well, because they, again, you want, as a child, you want a father who is someone who's embracing life. As a wife, you want a high thumos man, not a passive man. So again, you can look at the Hollywood trope of a dad, of a slobber dad. That is the nightmare for a wife. She doesn't want that. So you might think you're doing her a favor by, you know, skipping the gym or skipping MMA training to relax on the sofa. That might be nice to her in the short run, but in the long run, it's actually to betray your wife. To get out of shape, it's to betray your wife, because she didn't sign up for that. So anyway, to conclude, you can still be a sensitive young man, you can still pursue your ambitions, it's just that you have additional responsibilities, and you will simply have to bring your family along on the adventure of your life, which it can also still be. So anyway, to conclude again, it's a mental attitude, your self-perception, how you view yourself. Do you view yourself as now you are a dad, or do you view yourself still as a neo-Norman, high-thumos, sensitive young man that is still, on the make? You're going upwards and onwards. So it's all in your mind. It's all in your mind how you would like to define yourself, define your life, define your perspectives on life. So anyway, I hope that was motivating and insightful. So that said, do head over to legiogloria.com, treat yourself to Ulr's wool undergarment and Ulr's wool undertrousers. Do read Dauntless and Demigod Mentality. Listen to all of my podcast episodes. You can do it on YouTube, on X, on Subscribestar, Substack, Spotify. Thank you for your support and thank you for watching. XXO.